You can't even define fascism. I challenge Kamala to tell us what it is, because a majority of the country doesn't know the word. She needs non-college educated blacks, whites, and Hispanics to turn out for her. And she is smearing her rival as with a mid-20th century European political philosophy. Okay, Jessica?
You think people don't know what Hitler is?
Yeah, I think people know who Hitler is. I think they have a general idea of what fascism is. And I don't think that Jesse Waters is being honest there and saying it's pointless to say this, nobody knows what it is. I think he fears that some people might. No, I don't think nearly enough. I don't give our education system credit enough to think that people have a super deep understanding of fascism, nor do I think they should have to. I would love for fascism to have nothing to do with modern America and to be utterly pointless and tangential to our politics. Unfortunately, in recent years, it hasn't been. But regardless, and we'll return to more of what Jesse Waters said in a sec, new polling implies that regardless of what he says about the level of understanding of the American people, they do seem to think that there's something there when it comes to Donald Trump and fascism. A recent ABC News poll found that 49% of Americans do see Donald Trump as a fascist. Now that is amazing. We're gonna bring up this picture because there's a couple of other stats there we need to talk about. But bear in mind, that was all before the Kelly comments. So I would assume the number would be at least slightly higher now. I don't know for sure, but 49% had said it. Now granted, 18% say that Harris is a fascist. Well, I guess technically 23%. That's not what she is. Even if you think she's an authoritarian, that's not right. But anyway, so maybe 18% of the country is as confused as Jesse Waters said. But they definitely think that there is something there. And so Brett, I want your thoughts about Jesse Waters, about people's understanding of fascism. I will also say there will come a day when I don't have to hear Jesse Waters say the word blacks.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
With that stank on it, but today unfortunately is not that day. What do you think, Brett?
It's so rich hearing that specific argument come from Fox News, for whom the definition of a term has never affected whether they use it. Like they come up with new terms and accuse people of it. These guys are saying that anyone who's not them is a neo-Marxist. What? The analog on the other side to fascism is communist, and that is a word used nonstop in the attacks. Oh my God, an outdated 19th century philosophy, century old philosophy. Like what? No one, like you can say it, and the way you say it, in the way you say communist, is the way people who don't like fascism say fascism is bad. Neither attack is utterly one. Well, I guess the communism attack is much further from being true than the fascist attack. The closest thing they do is say like, there are many arguments made by the left that are about oppressor and oppressed, and that's it. Okay. But fascism, Donald Trump is advocating to have, generals like Hitler. He is someone who has advocated for using the military on its citizens. He is someone who, with Elon Musk, has like a very close ally, and that's just one example of the many. He's very close allies with a person who gets a ton of subsidies from the government, private-public partnership stuff. Like there's oligopolies and corruptions that is run rampant in fascism. And that's what he is for. He is 100% like paint by numbers fascist. And he's weird. He's a loud, weird marketer, which is just dictator central.
It typically there's no reason it needs to be a part of it. It almost always is. That is true. Look, we've done lots of breakdowns of the classic definitions of fascism. Not every single one applies to Donald Trump or the MAGA movement, but plenty of them do, way too many. And I would say, look, if Jesse Waters wanted to convince people that Trump isn't a fascist, you know what he could do? He could get that definition. He could list the characteristics as scholars of fascism have, and then he could point to each one and say, this one's not accurate, this one's not accurate. He could do that. He is never going to do that. You know why? first of all, he would literally have to read, and I don't think he's interested in doing that at this point in his life. But more importantly, because he would list those characteristics, and way too many people watching Fox News would be like, well, I don't see what's wrong with that. Because Jesse Waters doesn't see they like that. They like the over-militarization of society, the demonizing of outsiders, like sort of a socio-political, cultural focus on cleanliness and things being unclean. The demonization of sexual perversion. We could go into all this, the close working relationship between the government and business interests. We could do all of this stuff. We could talk about mythologizing an earlier state of the country in which there was national strength, buttressed by traditional masculinity. We could go through all of these. The issue isn't that Donald Trump isn't those things, it's that they don't have a problem with those things. The country has had tens of millions of people waiting for a fascist to appeal to them. And Donald Trump has just been the most bold. Now, anyway.
They're saying, and then finally, sorry, I didn't know you're transitioning out, but Tucker Carlson saying daddy needs to come home and give us a spanking is like the peak kink 100%. Of fascism.
100%. The fact that they would like what Tucker Carlson said should be deeply worrying. He portrayed Donald Trump as an abusive father who particularly takes it out on the women. And they were like, yes, finally.
And that's what's so crazy, because that's so the opposite of strength is, thank you, sir, may I have another?
It's just sick. And again, like, I hope I'm wrong. Tucker Carlson is going to do this. Tucker Carlson loves this maybe even more than Donald Trump, and he will be a better purveyor of it. And maybe he won't have the Teflon thing that Donald Trump has. Maybe he won't get as far. But Tucker Carlson is just waiting to be the next even more openly fascist Republican leader. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.